Hey, everyone, Billy here. The dam has broken, and the floodwaters are cascading down Pennsylvania Avenue. Moments ago, the United States Congress crossed a threshold that has stood for half a century. A bipartisan coalition of 47 lawmakers, Republicans and Democrats standing together, formally demanded the resignation of a sitting president. This is not a fringe petition or a symbolic gesture. It is an act of constitutional mutiny, triggered by a single devastating leak, a classified document that allegedly exposes Donald Trump for using the United States military as a political bargaining chip. When members of the president's own party, who have defended him through 2 impeachments and countless scandals, join the opposition to call for his removal from office, you are witnessing more than a political crisis. You are witnessing the collapse of a presidency. The foundations of political support have eroded beneath him, and the ground is now giving way. The catalyst is a secret memo, a piece of paper that has torn through the Capitol's defenses like a bunker-buster bomb. According to sources from Politico and other outlets, this document, which surfaced in late January, contains explosive allegations that President Trump personally directed his chief of staff to delay critical military authorizations and Pentagon actions until specific senior generals agreed to publicly endorse his re-election campaign at political rallies. This is not a policy dispute about troop levels or defense budgets. This is the alleged weaponization of national security itself, holding military readiness hostage to extract the spectacle of uniformed support. For lawmakers who reviewed the memo in a secure briefing room, the line crossed was not ambiguous. It was bright red and smoking. As one Republican signatory reportedly stated, this wasn't about politics as usual. This was about making the safety of American personnel contingent on a photo op. The reaction on Capitol Hill was swift and surgical. On December 27th, an emergency closed-door meeting convened, not in a party caucus room, but in a space reserved for true cross-aisle crisis. 31 Democrats and 16 Republicans, a mix of seasoned legislators and committee chairs, gathered. What transpired was described by attendees as one of the most grave and consequential sessions of their careers. Republican Representative Michael McCaul, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and a typically steady Trump ally, is said to have laid out the evidence with chilling clarity, telling his colleagues that silence would make them complicit. Across the table, Democratic Representative Adam Smith, the ranking member on Armed Services, called the allegations a fundamental corruption of the commander-in-chief role. In that room, partisan allegiance dissolved under the weight of the charge that the president had subordinated the nation's defense to his personal political theater. 3 hours later, they produced a document more powerful than any impeachment article filed to date, a joint letter demanding President Trump's immediate resignation. The language, obtained by the Washington Post, is a masterpiece of cold fury. It accuses the president of violating his constitutional oath by placing personal political gain above the security of the nation, of endangering American service members by conditioning military readiness upon political loyalty, and of betraying the trust of every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine who relies upon civilian leadership to prioritize mission over spectacle. This is the language of ultimate condemnation, stripped of legalistic hedging. It is the judgment of peers, declaring a president unfit. The political detonation occurred when Chairman McCaul, a Republican, took the extraordinary step of personally presenting the demand on the House floor. Eyewitnesses reported his voice trembled, not with hesitation, but with conviction. As a veteran, and as someone who has supported this administration, he stated, "I cannot in good conscience remain silent when evidence suggests the commander-in-chief views our military as a prop in his campaign." In that moment, the shield of partisan witch hunt that has protected Trump for years shattered into irrelevance. The accusation was now being led by his own team. This changes everything. It provides permission for other Republicans to defect, transforming dissent from career suicide into an act of principled and now shared courage. This uprising is historically discontinuous. Recall Watergate. Pressure for Nixon's resignation built slowly as Republican senators privately withdrew support before finally delivering the ultimatum. That was a process. This is a sudden, organized rupture. During Trump's first impeachment over Ukraine, not a single House Republican voted for it. During the second, following January 6th, only 10 did. Now, 16 Republicans have preemptively joined a call for his resignation, a more drastic step than impeachment, based on a classified memo they themselves have reviewed. The evidence, coming through official channels rather than a partisan investigation, carries a different, heavier weight. It transforms the allegation from a political argument into a matter of sworn duty. Legal and national security experts are sounding alarms that reach far beyond the Capitol. The allegation, if true, doesn't just violate norms, it potentially breaches specific criminal statutes against using public office for personal gain, and could constitute a dereliction of duty of the highest order. As former federal prosecutor Andrew Weissman noted on MSNBC, using the levers of military command to secure personal political endorsements isn't just an abuse of power. It flirts with laws that safeguard the impartiality of the armed forces. Even frequent Trump legal defender Jonathan Turley conceded on Fox News the gravity of the charge, stating that while presidents have broad latitude, weaponizing delays for political loyalty crosses a constitutional line that should concern everyone, regardless of party. The immediate fallout is a Capitol in chaos and a White House under siege. Reports from Politico describe senior GOP leaders in a state of panic, conducting frantic conference calls torn between condemning the leak and addressing the substance of the allegation. The party is fracturing in real time between a base that demands absolute loyalty and members who believe their oath requires action. Meanwhile, Trump's response has been characteristically volcanic but strategically barren. In a furious torrent of Truth Social posts, he has labeled the signatories traitors, cowards, and rhinos, claiming the memo is a deep state fabrication. Notably absent is any substantive rebuttal of the memo's core claim, no explanation for the alleged delays, no refutation of the timeline. The response is pure ad hominem attack, which legal observers note often signals a defenseless position. By threatening the lawmakers themselves, he is only hardening their resolve and pushing other wavering Republicans toward the coalition. The stakes here are not about one president's political survival. They are about the integrity of the civilian command of the most powerful military on earth. The principle is sacrosanct. Military decisions must be made on the basis of strategy, readiness, and security, never on the political needs of the commander-in-chief. If a president can delay a deployment, stall an arms transfer, or hold up a promotion to coerce a public endorsement without consequence, then the very foundation of American civil-military relations is corrupted. It sets a precedent that would allow any future president to treat the Pentagon as an extension of their campaign office. This is why the bipartisan coalition acted. They are not trying to win an election. They are trying to prevent the permanent militarization of domestic politics. As the shockwave expands, watch for 3 critical developments. First, the pressure on other Republicans will become immense. The 16 who signed the letter have provided cover. How many more will follow? Key figures in national security-focused committees are now under a microscope, forced to choose between party and principle in a way they have never been before. Second, the military itself is watching. A Military Times poll following the scandal's outbreak indicated a staggering 68% of active duty respondents opposed the politicization of military decisions. The president's brand as a champion of the troops now faces its most severe test from the troops themselves. Third, this will become the central issue of the looming election cycle. Every Republican candidate will be asked, do you believe a president should use military operations as leverage for political support? And if not, why haven't you called for his resignation? We are now in uncharted territory. A bipartisan bloc has declared the sitting president unfit and demanded he step down. The White House is responding with rage, not reason. The president's party is splintering. This is the constitutional crisis that has been simmering for years, now brought to a furious boil. The coming hours and days will determine whether this resignation demand becomes a tidal wave or recedes as a historic footnote. But one thing is already clear. A line has been drawn that cannot be uncrossed. The question is no longer whether the president abused his power, but whether a Congress and a country still have the will to hold him accountable for it. The evidence is in. The demand has been made. The resignation call is on the record. Now, we see if the republic still works.